bunch of people made a lot of terrible mistakes, and we came and did what we could to get them out of a jam. I'd say, friend, if you hadn't screwed up, I wouldn't be here.
Best thing could happen to all of my people would they run into all of you. The whole secret of this business, I think, is to know your job as intimately and as interconnected as you possibly can.
Very important to know the enemy is fire and how the enemy spreads, convection, conduction, and radiation. And you got to know your battlefield. You're going to do battle on the fire ground, so you got to know the battlefield.
The premier position that the workers in this room have put this service in is that we are the most popular service, we're the most accepted service, and we're the most trusted service. We have 2 in and 2 out. I says because firefighters are worth saving.
His message was always to make a difference, to live life so that you were leaving a mark. This award shows our family that he truly made a difference.
If you've been in fires a lot, no matter how experienced you are, you got to have somebody on your shoulder telling you that, they're backing you because you don't know. There are times when you say, hey, God, just get me through this, I'll be a good boy, I'll go to church on Sunday, I'm going to take care of everything. Get me through this.
It's a super thing, and I am very appreciative of this award. I would just like to leave one simple little message today, especially to the younger people. You can make a difference.
If my father were here this morning, he would remind us of the cold, hard fact that no leader is any greater than the men and women that he is called to lead.
To be able to work at an occupation which brings tremendous personal satisfaction and to enjoy the association with the marvelous people we have been privileged to work with makes firefighting enviable to those sentenced to much more mundane walks of life.
I think like most people that have these things happen to them, they realize they really stand on the shoulders of people who have gone before them, people who have stand next to them, and people they admire.
If you can travel around and you can preach the message of professionalism and safety and for what firefighters do for this country, then I think it's all worthwhile.
Somewhere in this room, there is someone that will be up here on this stage accepting this award in the future, because this is the group that is the leadership of the fire service.
I'd like to begin by expressing to each of you how honored and privileged I am to have been selected this year's recipient of the Tom Brennan Lifetime Achievement Award. Tommy's a gentleman who's done so much for this fire service, a person who I can call my friend. And to be associated with his legacy is a phenomenal point in my life.
Tom Brennan, Lifetime Achievement Award. I don't know how I even fit in that equation anywhere, but I'm truly, truly, truly humbled and honored. You'll be up here, somebody, one of you will be up here next year. Thank you.
Eileen, receiving this award in your father's name is a privilege. It was Tom who encouraged me to write in Jim Murtaugh's class. To the FDIC Fire Engineering family, the Indianapolis Fire Department, my old FDIC education group, and to my beloved friend, the late Steve Alk. As a team, there was nothing we could not accomplish in making this the greatest fire service conference in the world.
It will be all of you, the true leaders of the fire service, that keep the torch of tradition burning intensely, that will steer us through these turbulent waters and allow us to emerge an even stronger and more resilient fire service. Thank you all for your passion for the fire service and your passion for firefighting. Thank you.
Hello. It's a great pleasure to be here again. I'd like to introduce Eileen Brennan, Tom Brennan's daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, it's my distinct honor to be allowed at this time to introduce the Fire Department Instructors Conference 2014 Tom Brennan Lifetime Achievement Award winner. This award is incredibly important for so many reasons. First, it is this institution's, The Fire Department Instructors Conference, the longest standing gathering of fire service leadership, the undisputed annual networking hub for the fire service thought leaders, and the intellectual and strategic center for fire service recognition's sole recognition. A recognition of a member of our proud profession's contributions as being above and beyond, as being noteworthy, as being deserving of recognition, praise, and respect. It's uniquely recognition, not from any one individual, not from any one group, but rather from an industry, symbolized by this vehicle, this gathering, this FDIC. This award also has an incredibly deep and significant legacy, as we've all just witnessed in the video of the preceding individuals who have previously been recognized, but are still incredibly important in the day-to-day, minute-to-minute life of the fire service. It is fitting and proper that we're about to recognize this man here this morning because he fits that esteemed group to a T. It is fitting that the man we're about to recognize is not only a world-class firefighter, not only a lifetime intellectual thought leader, but a true gentleman, a true giant among giants, a true friend to every firefighter. I am absolutely humbled to be allowed to stand on this stage and introduce to you a man whose accomplishments dwarf some of the most recognizable among us, a man who exemplifies the highest ideals of the fire service, and a man whose humility and honor we would all do well to attempt to emulate. Ladies and gentlemen, with your kind permission, I would like to tell you a little bit about Chief Ronnie J. Coleman. Chief Coleman is the retired State Fire Marshal for the state of California. He has received a Master's of Arts degree in Vocational Education from Cal State Long Branch, a Bachelor's of Science degree in Political Science from Cal State Fullerton, and an Associate's of Arts degree in Fire Science from Rancho Santiago College. Chief Coleman has served in many elected positions in professional organizations, including President of the International Association of Fire Chiefs, Vice President, International Committee for Prevention and Control of Fire, President of the California League of Cities Fire Chiefs Department. In 2010, he was appointed Chairman of the California State Firefighters Association Volunteer Committee. He served on the Public Safety Committee for the League of California Cities for almost 20 years. He served as Chairman of the Commission of Fire Service Accreditation from 1984 to 2005. Chief Coleman holds professional memberships in many organizations, such as the International Association of Fire Chiefs, the International Code Institute, the Conference of Building Officials, the International Code Council, the Fire Protection Association, and the Institution of Fire Engineers, USA branch. Chief Coleman was elected as a Fellow of the Institution of Fire Engineers by the British chapter. Chief Coleman has served as a panel member on the reconstituted America Burning Panel and was a member of the U.S. Fire Administration's Stakeholder Committee. He serves as the Fireman's Fund National Committee, and he currently serves as the President of the National Fire Heritage Center. This is an organization that is directed to preserving the written history of the fire profession in the United States. Chief Coleman is also the chair of the International Accreditation Services Technical Committee and the Committee on Accreditation of the Fire Prevention Bureaus for the International Code Council. In 2011, he was appointed to the National Construction Safety Team Panel under the jurisdiction of the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Chief Coleman has contributed to many fire service publications, including Fire Engineering, and is a columnist in Sprinkler Age magazine. He has authored 19 textbooks for the fire service community. The California Fire Chiefs named their annual Fire Chief of the Year award after Chief Coleman in 2000. The Center for Public Safety Excellence named a perpetual trophy devoted to excellence in leadership after Chief Coleman. He was recently awarded special recognition from the President of the International Code Council for his lifetime involvement in the development of fire codes. Chief Coleman was recently appointed to the ICC Membership Development Committee. In 2011, he received the Mason Langford Award, which is a Lifetime Achievement Award created by the Congressional Fire Caucus Institute. In 2012, he was placed in the CSFA Hall of Fame. In 2013, he was designated a Companion Fellow at the Institution of Fire Engineers. What an amazing life. What an amazing life. Here's what a few of Ronnie's good friends had to say about him. From retired Chief Ken Wagner of the Roseville, California Fire Department, Ronnie is one of those individuals who has spent not just a career, but a lifetime devoted to improving the fire service through leadership training and getting out right down in the weeds and getting things done. He has served as a role model and a mentor to many aspiring and current fire service leaders, recognizing his commitment, dedications, and achievements with the Tom Brennan Lifetime Achievement Award is clearly appropriate. His good friend, Chief Don Oliver of Winston, North Carolina, had this to say. Chief Ronnie J. Coleman has been honored and distinguished in many professional circles as a person who has been a leader and a teacher in the fire service. He has served with excellence, distinction, and dedication. But more than that, he continues to provide a method of rational examination instead of conventional information distribution. Today, Ronnie continues to keep his focus on the future while honoring the fire service tradition by understanding circumstance-based decisions and the critical thought processes that influential decision makers have made in the past that have propelled the fire service to where it is today. Ronnie's vision over the past half-century have become the reality of today. From residential sprinkler ordinances to the professional development of fire officers and the accreditation of fire organizations are but a few of his legacies. I am honored to have known him for over 25 years and call him my friend. From the wonderful Bill Kehoe of the Institution of Fire Engineers, U.S. branch, Ronnie Coleman is an institution in the American Fire Service. He has been the initiator of programs and projects too numerous to list, but among those are the establishment of the branch of Institution of Fire Engineers, establishment of the Center of Public Safety Excellence, establishment of the National Fire Heritage Center. He is the author of international renown on subjects including management, philosophy, technology, and magazine articles on thought-provoking topics of the day. Chief Coleman's good friend, R. Wayne Powell, the executive director of the National Fire Heritage Center, added these words. Chief Ron Coleman, president of the National Fire Heritage Center based in Emmitsburg, Maryland, is an amazing man on so many levels. A terrific writer, lecturer, great friend to thousands of fire service professionals here and abroad, his positive influences everywhere. His intellect, his integrity, and his decency is a model for all to emulate. His quest to learn and share, his desire to advance the use of proven technologies is at the center of everything he does. Our field is indeed fortunate to have helped us advance on all fronts. From Chris Riley of the Colorado Springs Fire Department, Chief Coleman epitomizes the best of the American Fire Service. He is a forward-thinking visionary, constantly raising the bar and improving the fire service through community development and application of professional standards. I am honored to know Chief Coleman as a friend and a colleague. He has a tremendous positive impact on the fire service and fire service professionals throughout the world. And these wonderful words from Tom Foster of Eureka FD. Chief Coleman is a fire service legend unsurpassed in his devotion and commitment to America's fire service. We are especially appreciative of his efforts to support our volunteer firefighters through leadership, education, and a willingness to always be available to help. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand with me and join now in honoring this great American legend, my friend and the 2014 Tom Brennan Lifetime Achievement Award, Chief Ronnie J. Coleman.
Thank you. Please be seated. It's not the first time I've stood on a stage, and yet it's probably one of the most humbling times I've ever stood on a stage of this type. I'm thinking, though, not of today. I'm thinking of many, many years ago. I have a pretty good memory for history. I recall in April of 1951, I was about 10 years old. I was watching a black and white television set. Some of you in this room may remember what that was like. And it was a speech being given by a guy named General Douglas MacArthur. He'd just been removed as the top commander of the American forces in the Korean War, and he gave a speech in which he uttered a phrase that had created an image of him forever. He said, "I still remember the refrain of the most popular barracks ballads of that day, which proclaimed it most probably that old soldiers never die, they just fade away." Well, that phrase was not entirely his own. Matter of fact, he took it from somebody else. It was originally written as a ballad and a drinking song that poked fun at the Army. But today, I sort of feel in the same mode as that old fire chiefs don't die, they just become consultants. I'm not fading away, and I don't intend to fade away, but I would like to take the time to celebrate the reason that I'm on this stage with this gentleman and this lady. And that has to do with a meeting a long time ago in Kansas City. I attended my first FDIC conference in Kansas City with a fellow named Bill Patterson, who later became the fire chief of Long Beach and several other places. And I don't remember the exact year. I don't remember the event, but at that particular meeting, I met a young upstart captain by the name of Alan Brunacini. I then met a fellow by the name of Warren Isman. And then I was introduced to a guy named John Eversole, etc. I was a young captain, impressionable, looking for the expectations that was so clearly articulated by Bobby here a few minutes ago. I met people like Jim Casey. And then, of course, there was an individual who later became part of my circle of friends, a guy named Tom Brennan, which is the reason I'm here today. Well, I'm now 74 years old. I can no longer claim youthful vitality, and I can't even begin to meet the image of combat-ready firefighter. But I'm really good at standing on the sidelines and critiquing things. So in the vein of General MacArthur, and who acknowledged the fact that there is a transition that's marked by the coming and going of individuals, I'm now prepared to accept this award for my time in service, but also to recognize exactly what you just heard from Mr. Halton, Chief Halton, the fact that there is a future out there. As you sit in this room today, look at the person on your left, look at the person on your right for just a few seconds and ask yourself this question: who are they? And then the next question is, what are they going to be? And that includes you. Everybody in this room has the potential, excuse me, of contributing and making a difference. All the things that you've heard over the last couple of days about principles and values is not an exercise in rhetoric. It's actually a reality, because the fire service belongs to us. It doesn't belong to anybody else. It belongs to us. If you remember correctly, MacArthur, when he ended up giving that speech, he gave a phrase, and he said, duty, honor, and country in West Point. I think we could make an interpretation of that today. It's not only duty, honor, and country, but it's duty, honor, country, and community, because you are the first line of defense. Now, second thing is the desire for me is something that I heard one of my previous award winners say, and that is that somebody in this audience, I hope, is standing on this stage when they're at the apex of their career, receiving a similar recognition, because that's going to mean one thing: you worked your butt off. You didn't take anything for granted. You committed yourself to causes. And not only did you commit yourself to causes, you took along your friends and your family on that journey. I'm delighted to be here to accept this award from Fire Engineering today, but I'd also like to express my personal appreciation from my wife and my family, who put up with the last 54 years of me being at conferences like this.
It's there.